Good morning, lovely stitchers. Apologies for no me intro. I'm doing this as a first thing in the morning job because everything's so chaotic at the moment, and I'm still wearing my pajamas, and I have a bird's nest hairdo on my head. So I thought I'll relieve you and not let you have to see that. So I do apologise. Because I know a lot of you will say, oh, we really like those videos where you actually see the person. And I tend to I used to shy away from those because I thought, oh my gosh, I've got to put on a full face of makeup. I've got to do my hair. I've got to do this and I've got to do that. And then I realised, actually, you know what, Rach, you don't have to do any of that, because if people don't want to accept you as you, then they'll turn off. And that's, you only want people in your life that can accept you as you. And, so that's where my head's at now. Right. So this one's a little bit of you might love it or you might hate it. It's a bit Marmite, as we say in the UK. So I'm just having a little sort out of some bits and bobs supplies I might need. So we're going to do some needle turn applique. I'm just looking for a pen there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something on the end of this here. I'm going to leave a little gap there, just enough. And I've got a scrap of this Liberty fabric, and I'm going to do like a primitive kind of heart, only because this has kind of given me the shape, and I don't want to waste. So what I am attempting to do now, I'll show you a way to do it that I've kind of come up. Well, I'm not very good on needlepoint applique. Let's just put it that way. I've been doing it for many, many years, and there's freezer paper methods. There's oh gosh, just ordinary putting it on without any guidance. I can't even think of names of things. It's not a, how can I put it? It's not something that I would go to and do on a regular basis. So I'm going to do a heart, like a primitive heart, but I'm going to do my paper. Just get a little scrap of paper and kind of, okay, kind of that kind of shape. Sure, I don't need to teach you how to cut out hearts, but here we go. I've folded it in half and I've just done a kind of teardroppy. Now that is way too big, so I'm just going to come down a bit, but I'm going to try and make it a little bit off shape, if you know what I'm saying. It's probably not too, a bit thinner. There, and I've still got my space for my, just come a bit thinner that side, I think. Oops, banking around, sorry. Well, I hope you can hear me. Just suddenly thought I've not got a cup of tea. Right, that will, can you see? If you go on Pinterest, if you go into Google and Google heart shapes, there'll be loads of outlines. So I won't give you a template for it. Right. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to cut that bit off there with these paper cutting scissors that I'm just going to put that in my scraps. I am going to draw around with right side facing right side facing, everybody. And I want to give myself at least a 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 centimetre. Oh, edgy. Just get him settled. Shush. Hey. The draw around my heart shape, or whatever shape you choose. You can freehand this, by the way. You don't have to cut a piece of paper out. Obviously chopped off the point of the heart there for some unknown reason. Do you know the weather here? It's gone absolutely black out there. I'm just looking out and it is, wow. It's almost like it's going dusk, and it's what time? 8 a.m. 8:30 a.m. Gosh, that's scary. So that's the heavens are absolutely going to open, aren't they? All right, just go back on track. Reggie's barking. It's a Sunday morning. Reggie's barking a lot because there's lots of visitors. People, having visitors. Oh, I've gone round it twice there. I'm not going to worry. This is a heat erase pen. That's not concentrating. I hope you can see my lines. I can see them really clearly, but you probably can't. So I've gone round and I've gone a bit darker in. Draw around my template. I'm going to use that one in the inside, not that one. Right. I shall ignore this line. Now I've got a seam allowance here. Okay. So what I'm going to do, let's get a pair of scissors that'll cut badly, rather than struggle. So I'm going to come, if you've got a point, you want to come across the point, not too close in. About 1 millimetre, 1/8 of an inch, something like that. And then just give yourself a little seam allowance. I'll show you what I'm going to do with the pointy bit there. Don't want to scare anybody off with this. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do, I admit. And me and my friend Lindsay had a couple of issues with a certain shape, and I just couldn't get my head around it. But we got there in the end. Okay, so some people will snip into the corners. I don't, but I'm going to snip into this point down there. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to fold it in. I want to try and get as close as I can. That'll do. Probably about 1 millimetre, 1/16 of an inch, something like that. Just move that out of the way. And I'm going to pin on. Oh, move. Okay. I've got some these. This is where you can either glue baste it, with the glue stick. Gosh knows where that is. Oh, come on. Or pin. And as I can't find the glue stick, it's going to be pins. Appliqué pins or appliqué pins are fab for this. If you can get hold of them, they seem to be like the holy grail of pins at the minute. Now, for this work, I will use a really fine needle. I'm going to tell you what size this is. Is it a tulip? Let's have a little look. Tulip size 10 needle. Don't use them very often. It's not something I carry in the shop, but a really fine all-purpose sewing needle, embroidery needle, something like that, and a fine machine cotton, sewing cotton, ordinary sewing cotton. This is actually polyester, not cotton, but I tend to stitch with a very fine, palest of grey, and I got this tip from Kate at the Last Homely House. She does a lot of quilting, and she said that this dove grey will sink into any colour you are stitching, and she only uses that colour constantly. So I've used her tip, and it does work. So I've threaded up my needle. I'm just going to put a little knot in it. You might want a thimble as well with these fine needles. I'm hoping you won't. I'm hoping you can see what I'm doing. I know this thread is very pale on pale. So I'm going to start up. To make life easy for yourself, always start on a straight edge. And needle turn applique is exactly that. You turn in your work with the end of your needle, and you're going to turn it in and tuck it under. And then I'm going to come up. I'm just going to come up a little bit further back and then get a little tiny. I'm going to start up here because I don't want my knot showing. So I'm just going to pull that through. There we are. So I'm going to come into the base fabric and then come up a tiny stitch, probably getting a couple of threads, cross threads on my work. I'm going to tuck under. You don't need to previously iron this. Go back into the back of the backing fabric. Couple of, see if I can do it and you can see, a couple of little weaves and come up and grab a little tiny bit of fabric. Right. Oops, my needle's come unthreaded. Oh, here could be fun. Just a minute. These lights that I have for filming aren't actually very great to see what you're doing. Oh, straight. Oh my gosh. First time. They seem to be too bright for me, too daylighty. I've noticed I've sort of gone along with my finger there. Just give it a little press. Because it's a long straight line. Sometimes it's easier. Just grab that, come back on. So we go into the fabric at the back and up a tiny little stitch onto the very edge of the fold of your piece you're putting down. Now this is where I might use a thimble. I'm not very good with thimbles. And keep going. I've tried all sorts. You know, those little felt leather patches, leather, all kinds of needles, thimbles. Just not for me. I tend to use my nail. But then be careful because it can damage your nail. Just going to unpin that one. I'm just going to keep going round. I do say start on a big, long, straight run, just so you're not straight into getting all angsty and what have you, going round corner. Give yourself a little bit of if what's the word? You know, give yourself something easy to do straight up. So I'm nearly coming to the corner. I'm only taking really tiny stitches. Now, I'm saying this is not the easiest thing in the world to do. It's not. But, oh my goodness, is it in the moment kind of stitching. It takes your whole concentration to get to you know, concentrate on it, to be there thinking, right, my little stitches, my tiny stitches, where are they going? So I'm going to go into a point. So I've tucked that under and I'm going to really squeeze down on that, give it a press. Now, if I can't turn this, I don't think I'll turn that with my needle. I'm going to try and tuck it. There we go, you see. I've now got this fray edge bit there. Try and get rid of that. We're not with those. Let's see if I can just, don't want to snip my thread. Giant scissors out. Apologies. Just snipping that little tiny. And I'm just going to try and tuck it under. There we are. Look. This is where the needle turning bit comes in. You just tuck in with your needle. Up. Rings down now. I'm just going to come a couple of stitches through the back and through the front. So you want to be taking a little tiny snippet, snatch of your fabric on the very fold. Gosh, I love this Liberty. This is a Liberty fabric. Oh, couldn't tell you what it's called. All Liberty fabrics have a name, but gosh knows what this is. Just try and tuck in that little bit there. Take your time. There's no rush. It's not a race. All the way. And like I was just saying, it really gets you in the moment, and you get into a rhythm, and your stitches are. I like to be able to, in a quiet room, hear my thread coming through the needle, coming through the fabric. Rid of you. I hope you can see what I'm doing. This, I know I've not got the right colour thread, and ideally probably I'd do it in a darker thread, but I don't want to be able to see it. But can you see how it's just completely disappearing, this grey thread? I mean, this is just an all-purpose Gutermann thread. 643. It's nothing special, but it is a really good tip. As I say, I got it from Kate on the last Homely House. Kate's a quilter primarily, but I don't quilt, but I just like her whole demeanour. She's very, very much a calming influence. And she's got a lovely little goose, Eileen. She is on YouTube, by the way. I would link her, but I tend to forget. So she'll come up with you. Just going to pin that back into that way. So going around the corner then, or a curve, dead simple, just keep on tucking. The trick is not to go with too big a stitch and too big a bite of your fabric. Don't try to be making a great big curve, a fold, you know, all in one go. Oh, come back. And the more you do this, the more practice you get, the easier it gets. I mean, I'm going to say this time last week when I was trying to do this, it was they call it an orange peel shape, but it's like an elliptical shape. Oh my golly gosh. Could have thrown it out the window. Because it was like I don't know, my brain would not compute to it. But again, I think that's because we've got busy lives. You see, I'm just turning a tiny bit. What I'm doing, I'm sort of poking it with my needle, tucking it under and then wiggling it around. Yeah, we've got such busy lives. I think sometimes your brain can't tell your hands what to do when you're stitching, and that's when this kind of meditative stitch comes in. It's like a warm up to the main event. Just remember which line I'm going on. I'm only folding a tiny bit at a time. Don't, you know, I'm not trying to go all the way down and I'm not trying to go mad with it. And turn your work. Don't try working like this. Turn your work so it's comfortable to you. Your shoulders are relaxed. You know, it's in front of you rather than trying to twist your hand around. And I'm not worrying if I've got little, you know, I've got a little pointy bit there on my heart. I don't care. If anybody's going to look that closely, good luck. Tiny bits at a time. Got my brother over from France at the minute. And we did a little workshop. I don't know whether I've posted any pictures yet of what we made. Some chicken wire owls. Oops. Oh, they were so adorable. And it's quite strenuous on the hands. Gosh, we did have a great time. Some lovely people on the workshop. We did a workshop. I put it out there that my brother would come. He would do a workshop. He comes once a year. Just let me tuck this right in because I've kind of sorry, I'm talking. I've stopped talking because I'm concentrating. Kind of got quite a thin bit there where my heart. And if I don't mind going back a stitch. If I think, oh, that wants tucking down a little bit more, I'll go back a stitch. I'm not, you know, I'm not going to worry about that kind of thing. I'm not putting my pressure on myself to do that. Tuck you under a little bit. Can you see? you can see. Just tucking. But sometimes it doesn't want to go. Come on, I might have to do it with my thumb. Just tuck you under. Yeah, go. Bit of manipulation. Yeah, so I've had a busy day yesterday. Really busy. Cut this curve. Again, I'm just using a little tiny bit of fabric at a time. Yes, we'll put some pictures of the little owls that we did on Instagram or Facebook, or both, more than likely both. But yeah, it just comes once a year, and we just have a bit of fun and do something different other than stitching. Because some, and then get to meet a completely different clientele from Stitches. Tuck you under. Come on. Don't want to go. Oh, get in there. I'm going to put the iron on in a minute and iron away this. Just trying to pull that under. So I'm not left with a big bunch at the end. So when you get to the, try and tuck it under and give it a bit of a wiggle round. Hold it down. There we are, we're nearly at the end. Oh, I do love a bit of needle turn appliqué, or any kind of appliqué, to be fair. But I do love, I don't know where I started because this thread is so, honestly, I just think every time I use it and think about it, I think, gosh, this is like the most clever thing I've ever come across. Little tiny tips like that other YouTube creators or other stitchers or other creators give to one another. Now, I'm going to just show you, if it picks up, how tiny the stitches are there. You just, I'm just going to finish off. You finish off how you finish off. I don't. I have all sorts going on. Sometimes it's a quilter's knot. Sometimes it's a blooming great big knot. Right, let me just grab a heat mat. Got a giant one of these felt mats, but I've just invested in this little tiny one because it just it's useful. Just picking up and popping in your bag or whatever with your little mini iron. Just let that get heated up. I've got. Ooh, I'm just going to give it a little tiny press just to get rid of the heat pen. And just so it just sits nicely. Right, I think that looks really super cute. Okay, there we go. These heat pens are great, as we've already discussed previously. There we are. Wonderful. Just switch that back off. Turn that round and off. Put it out of the way. Don't want to get myself burnt. Okay. So there we go. That's today's little bit of stitching. That's got a bit of a kink in it, but I'm not bothered. That will be hidden. So happy stitching, everyone. Have a lovely day. Try not to get too stressed out. I know the build up of the next couple of days is quite intense. Well, for some people, not for everyone. But enjoy a bit of stitching. Take a 10-minute time out, okay? And be good to yourselves. So, happy stitching. And don't forget to subscribe and give me the thumbs up. Happy stitching, everyone.